They come from far and wide and by all modes of transport, and the bad weather makes little difference to their enthusiasm. The head of population, the Australian rules game in Melbourne draws greater crowds than any other game in the world. A stir was created before the big game started when the league announced the changing of all players' numbers to preserve their right to this control, and I think to confuse commentators.
The 1958 Grand Final was the biggest day in the club's history. I think it probably still is. Melbourne had won 3 flags in a row. They were poised to equal our cherished record of 4 in a row, set in the late 1920s, and they seemed unstoppable. We hadn't beaten them in the 10 previous outings. They were the shortest of short-priced favourites. Nobody gave Collingwood a snowflake's hope in hell of stopping them that day.
They had dangers, you know, you could think of Laurie Mithen in the centre, Big Bob Johnson. I could run through and name all their players. They had a classy side.
And they had Ron Barassi, who was at that stage probably the best player in the game.
Rank outsiders and beaten by Melbourne only 2 weeks ago, here is the Collingwood side. Collingwood, however, are renowned for their fighting spirit, and that's one reason why they are called the Magpies. And the Magpies will be flying high today.
And the fellas all went out there and marvellous feeling running onto that MCG in the grand final.
And the 1958 grand final is underway.
But at quarter time, we were 3 goals down. We looked gone already, and it was going perfectly to script for Melbourne. They were going to equal our record.
Play becomes a little congested, but Melbourne are confident, and here they come again with pacey football.
And then Murray Wiedemann, who was acting captain that day, gathered a few of the hard men of Collingwood around him, like Bill Sarong and Barry Hooker Harrison, and said, come on boys, we're going to step this up a bit.
We'd kick 1 goal, they'd kick 3 goals in the first quarter, and I said to Hooker Harrison, you're on Barassi, we've got to do something, you and I here, take out a couple of their players to get us back into the game, or it's gone by half-time. And in those days, tagging a football, it was never heard of.
After the change, there came a change. As Melbourne's diminutive rover, Ian Ridley, is floored by Collingwood's Bill Sarong.
That was a pre-planned arrangement. Hook was the ruck rover, and so he obviously matched up with Barras. Never left his side, niggled him, probably punched him occasionally, and he did a terrific job. Yeah, taking Barassi out of the game was something pretty special because he was probably the best player in Australia at that time.
Melbourne's dynamo Ron Barassi in the thick of all the heavy going.
The Hook was clawing all over him all day long. Not that Hooker got many touches. I think he might have only got about 7 touches during the game. But he was all over Barras like a rash every time Barras went near the ball. And he was a very hard fella, Hook.
Best man afield, Collingwood's winger Ken Turner, is again under notice.
We ended up stealing a miraculous premiership. And a major part of that was Barry Hooker Harrison's job on Ron Barassi.
He did a great job for the club on that day.
After it saves a Collingwood attack, he kicks it to the flank, but it's all over, and Collingwood wins the 1958 Grand Final.
Yeah, look, this was definitely the most famous instance of tagging in Collingwood's history. It hasn't been a huge part of the Collingwood game plan since, and certainly in the last few years, until Brent Macaffer's come along, it hasn't been part of the way we've played. But in the last 18 months, Caffer's really reinvented himself as a tagger, and he's had some terrific results running with high-quality footballers, and it looks like now he's found that niche for himself that he's looked for so long.
Yes, obviously 8th year in the system, been there a fair while now, and started off playing my first game in 09, and then got 4 or 5 games that year, and the following year, 2010, we won the premiership and sort of became more of a mainstay in that team. Playing a different role at that time, I was more of a defensive forward. Back then, I'd go to the most attacking defender for them that was going to run off and provide run and carry and set them up going forward. So, and then now it's pretty similar. I'm just doing that in the midfield. It's a pretty important role, but it's something that I really enjoy. I love that challenge of having to come up against the best player every week and knowing that if I can, nullify him, take 10, 15 possessions off what he'd normally have, it can have a big impact on whether we win or lose the game. I'm very competitive by nature, whether it's playing a game of PlayStation against someone or a game of chess or something. I hate losing in anything, so I think that definitely helps, and it's something that you have to have if you're going to be a tagger. As soon as you cross that white line, you've got to you've got to be filthy on yourself if your opponent gets a kick, and I know I definitely am. I go into games thinking that, I want to limit, not my opponent to just 10, 15 possessions, but I don't want him to get one possession. And even after games, I walk away, playing that game over my mind, thinking, geez, he got that touch. What could I have done different that he couldn't have got that? So that's the mindset I've got. So pretty competitive, and I hate losing. It's almost as soon as the game's finished on the weekend, we might throw up a couple of names. Already we start planning for next week.
Tuesday and Wednesday we'll have a bit of a match committee then, preliminary discussion of the team we're coming up against, and Caf's role's pretty much nailed then. There's obviously a few other things with injuries and what other changes we want to make, so as soon as I know that, I'll get on to Caf. He's already got a bit of a heads up anyway, he's thinking ahead. He knows there's 2 or 3 that are a chance to get.
As that week goes on, about 2 days out from the game, they've had match committee, all the coaches, and they've spoken about it, and I'll go home that night and I'll get a text from Burnsy, who's our midfield coach, and he'll let me know who I've got and give me some stats and figures on how he's gone this year and how he thinks I can get him, and ways that I can also hurt him going back the other way.
And it just gives a bit of time to sleep on it, and on his day off just start to think about if he played on him last year or what he's seen this year so far.
That following day, we'll go through some footage and look at some edits of around stoppages and how he likes to set up, and ways whether I play in front of him, play behind him, or try and get to their hit zone or whatnot. So there's a lot of work that goes in, and also with Robert Harvey as well. Obviously he was the midfield coach last year, and I still like to have a chat to him and get his advice and his thoughts as well. Yes, there's a lot of work that goes on during the week, and especially at the start of the week as well. But it's mainly that 2 days out when I get that text message that's the trigger in my mind. So right, here we go. This is who it's going to be. Start focusing and start getting your head around it.
My role obviously is to watch a lot of opposition games live and also analyse on the computer and on TV as well, and report that back to the coaches, which then in turn gets fed on to the players. In regards to Caf, a lot of the information that I'll give him will just be little bits and pieces about the particular player that he might be playing on that week, and just little things that other players have also done against that particular player that might help him along.
He'll go to Griffin, and this is sort of ones that we weigh up a fair bit because we know Liberatore how good he is at stoppage, and McRae's been in really good form in terms of accumulating possessions, but Griffin's the one that, obviously being the captain and certainly his burst from stoppage is a very dangerous player. And also last year Griffin did him over. Griffin played a really good game against Caf, so gives him a chance now to see if he can get one back on him as well.
So I thought we'd go back to round 11 against Freo, who had Crowley following around, and also did quite a good job. He kept the 10 possessions. Yeah, so.
Being a tagger, it's, I suppose, a bit of a selfless type role, but it's something I don't mind doing. I know I'm a role player for this team, and I don't have to go out and get 25, 30 possessions in the midfield. I mean, we've got guys that can do that. We've got Pendles, we've got Swanee, we've got Beamsy, Steele. We've got guys all over the ground that are doing that, and so I know that if I can play my role and do it well, it's going to help the team.
He's got the strong body inside, so he can deal with a whole range of players, the quicker players, but also the stronger ones as well at stoppage. He's got a very good tank, and what he has got offensively is when we do win the ball back, he's one of our better 80 to 100 metre stride runners, so he's got that ability to get off, and as you've seen as well, one-on-one his marking's a great asset. So I'm not just, as much as we want him to cut the number one player out for the opposition, who we think is the number one player, we still want him to add to us offensively as well.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this one, so try and get one back on would be nice.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, ready? Cheers, mate.
No worries.
What's up?
Good luck.
Thank you.
I love having a role in a team and knowing that it's important and having that added pressure, I suppose. Some guys might not like that, but it's something that I enjoy. I love going to my opponent at the start of the game, and it's a mental battle. So if I can get on top of them early and keep them to a quiet first quarter, get them thinking in their head like, geez, I'm having a tough day here, I'm struggling a bit, stuff like that. You can see it in their body language sometimes, and that gives me a real boost. And when my teammates are supporting me as well, it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, so I'll probably rate playing on Stevie J as my best game this year, and although he still had 19 possessions and was able to kick a goal, I rate him as in the top 5 players in the competition. So playing on him, he's a different sort of player. He's he's as strong as anyone I've played on, but he's also as fit as anyone I've played on, and obviously how dangerous he is around goals and his agility, and he's just his footy smart. So that was a massive challenge for me, and I remember that week leading into that game just sort of stressing more than I have before, just thinking, geez, I don't know if there's anything I can do to stop this guy. So I was really happy with that performance. So I rate that as probably my best so far this year. The more I've been tagging, the more different guys I play on, you can pick up on little things, whether, geez, I can see that he's hurting here a bit, or he's not happy with how he's going. You can see him if they start to get negative towards their teammates. There's little things that you pick up and you take note of, and it gives me a boost knowing that, gee, I think I've got it over him here. To play for Collingwood's a massive deal for me. The biggest club in Australia, and to get to go out and play in front of 60,000, 70,000 people every week, it's just a massive buzz. I still sometimes have to pinch myself, or even when we're about to run out, I find myself, looking down at the Collingwood logo. Just I am playing AFL footy, so at times it's still a little bit surreal, but I'm loving it, and hope to keep doing it for as long as I can. Yeah, I've definitely changed as a player and as a person from 2010. We were a really young team then, and I was one of those young guys that had only played 20 games. I was 22, and I thought we were just going to win every year and win premiership every year. I thought, how good is this? How easy is this? But over those last 4 years, we haven't won a premiership again. So it just shows how hard it is. And my role, and personally, I've changed from being a kid to now being a senior member in the team, and offering a lot of advice to those young guys coming through and sharing my experiences, the ups and downs that I've been through, and a lot of the other guys have been through as well. So yeah, and the team's changed a lot since then, a lot of different personnel. So, but hopefully we can repeat what happened that year.
It is one of the upsets of the season. It's been one of the matches of the season, and Brent Macaffer's boys have stood firm all day, and they're going to have a famous win on this Sunday against the Pies.
It's extremely important that everyone at the club is on the same page, and it's not just the players, it's the players, the coaches, the staff as well. So to make sure that we're all on board and we're all across everything that's happening, and we've all got the same goal, and that's to win a premiership. That's what we're all there for.
I suppose after any game, whether you win or lose, it's the game sort of plays on your mind, and what you could have done better, and I suppose it magnifies about tenfold when you lose. So it'll probably take a while, and I suppose most guys on the team will be the same as well, sort of playing the game over in their head. So we'll just have recovery tomorrow, and then Tuesday we'll go through the game and watch a lot of footage. And I suppose the good thing about having a 6-day turnaround is we don't have much time to stew on it, especially after a loss. We've got Hawthorn next week, so our attention will turn pretty quickly towards them.
Being my 8th year, and when we won the premiership in 2010, I was 22 years of age, and a lot of us probably didn't appreciate it for as much as it is. So keen to, we really want to do that again and have that feeling again, and hopefully we can keep building this year and onwards.
Bucks called me this morning when I was still in bed, just getting up. It was about 10:30. Played about 2.5 quarters, 50% of the VFL game. So they said Beamsy was under a bit of a cloud. Came off just after half time and sort of rested up. He called me, and Bill called me straight after and said, make sure I've done my recovery from yesterday's game so I can prepare for today.
Found out this morning about 9:30, so it was a pretty rush day. Well, he messaged me and said, Mum, I'm playing. And then it was just a rush from then. The club rang, organised tickets, accommodation, and within about an hour and a half we were on a plane and over here.
I was obviously pretty excited, so I got my parents on the flight this morning. They came over from Adelaide, and a bit of a rush, but obviously very excited to play my first game. Just disappointed not to get the win. At the start of the season, I obviously wanted to play early, but in the first NAB Cup game I broke my hand, so I sort of delayed a little bit, and I still wanted to play a few games this year, so it's nice to start now, and hopefully I can get a few more as the season goes along.
I think with everyone in their first game, they'd be pretty petrified. And I think the same for us. As soon as he had that first touch, we're all a bit relieved, and we felt like we could relax a little bit more.
As you can see, the Collingwood bench behind you there. Tim Broomhead running onto the ground, the pick 20 at the 2012 draft.
Very proud moment, definitely a very proud moment. And then when he got his first touch again, it was, very exciting.
Creating the lead. Here he is in his first game. Broomhead, takes them on, showed a bit of pace. How's the kick to the pocket? Superb!
It was very exciting today to watch him run out there. It's been a long time coming, but we're very proud.
I want to play every week if we can, but there's obviously a few boys to come back into the team, so I've got to keep improving if I want to keep my spot.
Like any father, you're proud of your son and proud of what he's achieved, and he's really done well.
Way down, figure tips to it, nothing much done. Down goes Weller, picked off.
I still don't remember it very clearly. It all happened so fast. The last thing I sort of remember was the ball sort of popped up and I just jumped through and obviously didn't get the ball and left the ground and obviously made contact with his head, and I didn't feel much on my arm, but obviously it's collected him in the chin. As soon as he was subbed out, I sort of knew that I was going to obviously spend time on the sideline, which was pretty hard at the time, but there's not much I can do about it now. I've been doing everything the boys are doing, so training-wise I'm still training with the boys. I suppose at the end of each session Bill keeps me out here and I suppose tops me up and does a little bit extra, which is not too enjoyable, but I suppose the frustrating part about it all is I can't play on the weekend. I'm training all week, and then unfortunately when it comes to the game all I can do is sit and watch. So.
3 weeks is a fairly long time, so we've had to put a fair bit of work. Plan out a fair bit of work over that time. So what we've really tried to do is balance out the week. Today was more of a volume-based session, just trying to keep, he covers 15k a game, and that's pretty regular every week. It's 15 to 16k a game. So today was about just getting a bit more volume and strength endurance work into it. So we think it'll be around the 11.5k mark today, 12k. And then balance that out with obviously, some pretty intense football sessions to top that off.
Today was more sort of long distance running, so I did a few 400s, and then Nick Tagina come in and give me a touch up with the gloves. Push them out. Then just finish off with some strides. So I think I would have done just maybe 11 or 12 k's. Just then, Bill keeps on my toes, so I'm not getting away with too much.
There's nothing that makes up for playing the game. So obviously match fitness is the main thing. He's got 10 or 11 games under his belt right now. In the first instance, you're looking to probably get a little bit of recovery, but I think he was getting restless after missing the first one. So the biggest aim is to try and replicate as much as we can to the best of our ability the demands of the game. No player wants to miss games. I mean, in an ideal world, we'd rotate players through the course of a year, and because the game's so brutal and so demanding, I think the concept of 20 players playing 22 games and then playing finals, I think it's almost become an arcade challenge. In this case, I think Steele would rather play, but I'm pretty confident it's going to set him up for a really good, back end of the season. 2 laps on it. So it's basically 4 efforts with jog recovery. I suppose with injury you physically can't play. You're probably not doing all the training like the boys are as well. So, and when you are suspended, I'm doing everything, but I suppose there's just someone there telling you that you can't play. So I'm obviously physically ready to go, but I've done the wrong thing, so I've just got to sit on the sideline and cop it on the chin.
Hawthorn Premiership player Clinton Young has quit the club to join Collingwood. The unrestricted free agent is a ready-made replacement for midfielder Sharad Wellingham, who's left the Pies for West Coast. Port Adelaide also expressed considerable interest in Young, but he elected to remain in Melbourne.
Brought up to, hate the opposition. He brought up to be fearless and be ruthless in opposition. So it's going to be a unique game for me personally this week. I've never really played against mates before, so it's going to be weird in that regard. And plenty of players have gone and done that in the past. It's my turn this week, and it's something I'm looking forward to, and hopefully get the job done.
Little gift to Piopolo to Mitchell. How did he find Rioli? In turn to Young. Well, that was like the Harlem Globetrotters.
There for 8 years, plenty of mates, been through a lot. a lot of finals footy and a couple of grand finals. It felt like a long time ago now, a year and a half ago since I've been there, and even their team's developed a long way in that time, a lot of young guys coming through. So it's going to be a bit of a weird game for me, playing against some mates, but yeah, hopefully go all right. Hawthorn were a big club and playing a lot of finals. There was a lot of media attention around Hawthorn, but I think it's definitely gone to another level at the Collingwood. Not only the crowds, but even just the general media speculation week in, week out on the players. There's a lot more focus, but yeah, I think guys at the club really embrace that and make sure they perform on week in, week out. I've learnt so much this year and a half in terms of challenging myself to meet new players, new staff, and to be embraced, and Collingwood's been fantastic for me. I've enjoyed every moment of it, even though last year didn't quite go as planned with so many injuries. It's good to be back playing this year, and I've slotted in well, and the boys have been welcoming me, so it's been good. Body's in good shape, I've been pulling up well after each game, so I'm playing my best footy when I'm up and about and running well, and I've been doing that recently, so it's been good. My goal this year was to really knuckle down and try and deliver for the club, because obviously moving clubs, I wanted to perform. Last year was frustrating in that regard. It's been good to be out there and I guess playing some consistent football.
Young celebrates, and that puts a definite full stop on it.
Yeah, it's good to be sharing some leadership with the guys, and yeah, to be playing week in, week out now, it's really good. Yeah, it's a great feeling around the club. There's a lot of young guys playing well at VFL levels. Competition for spots is really coming through. Wouldn't say I'm the most loudest player going around, but in terms of providing some experience to these younger guys coming through, I think that's where I can really assist. There's guys around the club who've been for a long time, but I can also share some information or knowledge from elsewhere as well. So I've been trying to help the young boys through, and the experiences week in, week out. There's injuries, there's different things that happen to players. If I can provide some experience to those guys, it's been good. Approaching each week as it comes, and I've been trying to play my role, and that's all I can do at the moment, and not focusing too far in the future, because you never know what's around the corner. So I've been enjoying the footy this year. It's good to be back out there and taking it 1 week at a time, as I was saying.
I love being a member of the Magpie Army.
Because I'm part of one of the biggest sporting clubs in the world. I love sharing my dreams.
There's over 1 million others that bleed black and white like me.
And it's in my blood.
This jumper makes me feel 10 feet tall. A packed MCG every week.
Collingwood domination, envy of the nation.
The Collingwood Football Club is very excited to launch the Get One campaign. We'd like every Collingwood member to go out there and recruit at least one of their mates. For every one of your mates you do recruit, you'll go in the running to win this Collingwood corporate box at the MCG for the Round 21 clash against the Brisbane Lions. For more information on the Just Get One campaign and competition details, log on to membership.collingwoodfc.com.au or call 1300 Magpie. For every one of your mates you sign up, you'll increase your chances at winning this fully catered box for the Round 21 clash. And with membership packages starting at as little as $55, you'll help grow the Collingwood Army, and hopefully you'll be the one sitting here with your mates enjoying this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Go Pies.